We are here with Tyler Bradley. Tyler is a filmmaker here in Nashville. He is just an all-around awesome guy. And Tyler, why don't you just tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Cool. Yeah. Hey guys, like Herschel said, my name's Tyler Bradley. I've been doing film in Nashville for the last 11 years. And yeah, I graduated from Savannah College of Art and Design, kind of moved around a lot, moved here and fell in love with Nashville and haven't left since. So, and also we have a newborn. So when you hear these noises,
I understand.
that's what it's going to be.
What are some of the projects that maybe you've worked on that some of our people might have seen?
I'd say the most, notable that most people would know about is the TV show Nashville, because we are in Nashville.
Uh-huh.
I was lucky and blessed to work on almost all of it. I started midway through season 1 and went all the way through season 6.
Okay.
Which is great. So that was quite the ride. Made some really good friends, connections, relationships on that. And then I worked on more recently a TV show called Messiah, which was on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
I worked on one of my favorite projects, the movie Overcomer.
Okay.
It was a Christian film that the Kendrick brothers did. We filmed that 2 summers ago.
Okay.
That was a great movie. So a bunch of music videos and stuff, but I'd say like the biggest TV thing is the show Nashville.
Awesome. What drove you into like film and television? Like, why did you feel that was where you wanted to go for your career?
Well, at first I started out on the graphic design course in college, and I realized that that's kind of not a loner position, but like you do a lot of work by yourself, and I realized quickly that I do better in a team atmosphere where there's like other strengths, like people's strengths pick up for your weaknesses and vice versa. Like it's just kind of a collaborative effort, which I really like. And ever since I was in college, like my thesis film was about a father who was addicted to drugs who found the Lord. And it's just kind of been one of those things that I'm like, we can use this medium to help spread the gospel. And, just because I feel like, at least for me, I really don't like reading. I find myself watching movies and TV shows, and that's where I get inspired. And I'm like, well, what if we had more beneficial content out there for people to see? It doesn't have to be in your face, but like just sharing a good message versus a negative one.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of my hopes and dreams as far as like getting into this, and still working on that.
Well, I think there's this like mindset that a lot of people might have about the entertainment industry, that it's like spiritually empty. Maybe I think that's a myth just from the people that I know who are involved in it. But has that been your experience? What would you say to that? Where have you seen like God in your work?
I don't think that it's spiritually empty. I will say there's a lack of good news on set. I will say that a lot of people within the art industry in general, I feel that they kind of create their own idols, and it's also a very competitive industry. So it's a lot of me versus you, or us versus them, and how can I elevate myself over this person to be noticed and to be seen. And the job kind of lends itself to that, which is unfortunate because, what I do, focus pulling, it's one of the most stressful jobs. And, you have the director, the producer, the cinematographer, and script supervisor all watching the monitors, and they're watching your work. And so it is just stressful. And I feel like it's really easy to look inward instead of outward in those situations. However, in those stressful times, I also see the need for more of a spiritual side of things. And it reminds me to where I'm putting my faith and like what I'm looking towards, and that, God has me there in that situation for a reason, whether I pass or fail, so to speak. That's, he's in control of that. I will say though, the movie Overcomer, when we did that every day, that was just a different environment. That is a great example of where the gospel is alive and well and doing awesome work, because every day on set, say we clock in at 8 a.m. from 8 to 8:30, they had speakers do devotionals.
Hmm.
And whether you were a Christian or not, you were getting paid to listen to that, which was
Yeah.
really cool. So, you're hearing beneficial news to start your day. And then throughout, it was a very positive environment where everyone is kind of lifting everybody up. Very, very different from, I would say, what the mainstream is, where people are not looking to knock you down, but they're looking to get an edge. Whereas that movie was like everyone's just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page and doing the best we can to get together, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really answers the question,
No,
but
that
yeah,
totally does. I think that's kind of what I think people need to hear, is that this stuff, there is God working in this field, even if they might not know it. Because I think a lot of people just have this idea of like Hollywood elitism and whatnot, and that people, like you said, are kind of all out to get each other. And I just don't believe that about people. That's I think that there is that aspect, but I don't feel like that's the entire industry. It just can't be, because
yeah.
I know people like you and other friends who are in it, and I know that like that they're trying to bring the spirit into what they're doing every day.
Well, and also, I mean, I will, I'll say it really helps too when you have mainstream actors that come out and publicly announce their faith.
Mm,
Let's say Chris Pratt or someone like that who, does these huge movies that aren't necessarily faith-based, like Jurassic World or like the Avengers movie. Like I don't know the one that he did,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
or yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Um, he does these movies that are like funny or have action, but it's knowing that he's a follower of God, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it brings in a whole different dynamic to it.
Mm,
And also, then you have, I don't know if it's outwardly as so, but like John Krasinski doing this, some good news during quarantine.
right.
Like that's, you have these people doing beneficial works, which is really cool. And I
Yeah.
think that when you see that from the top, it filters down throughout the rest of the people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be in your face, but I think that changes the attitude and the environment on set.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just to shift gears just a little bit, why do you think like film and television connects with so many people? For me, like you said earlier, some of my most spiritually engaging moments have come from watching certain movies or performances or writing in a show or something. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that connects to so many people?
Well, I mean, one easy reason is just that TV is so attainable, and with all the streaming content that we have, I mean, it's like, what do you do when you put the kids to bed or when you're at home at night? It's like you turn the TV on and you kind of scroll through Netflix or Amazon and you try to find something to watch. So that's the easy answer. But I also think that, movies are a reflection of our lives or what we want our lives to look like, whether it's good or bad. And so I think that people identify, they watch a movie and they kind of insert themselves as a character into said movie or project. And you kind of, at least I feel this way. You learn to sympathize and care with maybe the protagonist or the antagonist, and then you kind of see how that would be in your life. So when you have good movies out there that spread good news and have a good outcome, I feel like that does the body good versus watching something that's just an action-packed movie.
Right.
It also it's like you're all cylinders are firing when you're watching a movie. It's you have your visual, you have your sound, all these things are connecting, and it's an immersive world.
Yeah.
That's why they created like IMAX to really kind of get you
Yep.
in the 3D sense of it, to make you feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I still to this day, gosh, what's it been? 25 years or more since Jurassic Park came out in the theater. Like remember exactly how I felt the first time, like you see the T-Rex come on screen. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, because like you said, it's like a whole sensory experience,
Hmm.
and it just attacks every part of you. And I think that is a great reason of why it gets into our skin so much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
are there any particular films or television shows that have had an impact on your faith?
Yeah. I mean, not to sound cheesy, but like the Kendrick brothers, it's a kind of a cool story the way this worked out. But they're the ones that did Fireproof, Facing the
Mhm.
Giants, Flywheel, War Room, Overcomer, which I was able to work on. But ever since I saw like Fireproof, which was the first movie I saw from them, it was just kind of shocking because I would say that I wasn't a new Christian, but I kind of in college rediscovered what Christianity was and was going to RUF, and it was just a timely movie to see. And it was nice that like I was like, wow, there's good content out there, even though it might seem a little cheesy, and it's directed at mainly a Christian audience. That particular movie, it was still fulfilling, and like it gave me the want to do a Christian film for my thesis film at SCAD, which is I based it off of that, and then another movie called Requiem for a Dream, which is very much
Yeah.
not so that.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just kind of neat. It was like, oh wow, you can. It just made me think and believe that I'm like, okay, we can have good content. It doesn't have to be all like Spider-Man, and even though those movies are great, like
Right.
there can be um, content that helps you learn and grow.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like movies traditionally people go to see them, it's maybe to turn off or just to like relax and watch a movie. And I'm like, well, this can be more of just than a watching experience.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to think if there's like, I mean, my favorite movie of all time is Rocky.
There you go.
um, just strictly speaking, it's just a great story, and I feel like even though that one doesn't really address it, I feel like it's a very spiritual movie.
Oh
Just
yeah.
with him overcoming his obstacles and adversities, and
Absolutely.
you can apply that to a faith filled life. We do that every day. We
I
need
mean,
God's help to do it, but and it's like, and that he's when he's down on himself, like again, they don't come out right and say it, but he's looking for a higher power to help him
right.
to help lead him through. Then there's other movies that are more on the nose, like say Chronicles of Narnia
Hmm.
or Lord of the Rings. That's one of the things that I love now is like watching a movie and like really finding, wow, that's biblically sound. Like
Hmm.
even if they don't mean to put it in there,
Yeah.
like God is working and He's inserting Himself into these movies, even if they're made to be secular, which is really
Yep.
cool.
Well, and what I think movies are modern day parables, really. I mean, you look at the parables of Jesus, and none of them are like explicit in their meaning, right? Like he's always having to explain them after the fact. And he's always like asking questions of the listener too. Like, well, what do you say it means? Like that type of stuff. And I feel like that's kind of what movies are in our culture right now. Like they can be, if they're well made and thought out, like they can be like a modern day parable that teaches us lessons and helps us, you know, navigate our culture and our life, really.
Yeah. We one of our previous pastors, he actually moved back to North Carolina, but he's the one who married Laura and I, Scott Stewart. One of his things he would do in most sermons is he would reference a movie and kind of
Hmm.
talk about the themes. And one of the movies he would reference a lot was Into the Wild.
Mm.
Now, have you seen it? I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think,
Oh yeah.
but like it's based on a real story, and how like towards the end of the movie, all the character wanted was community. Like
Yep.
he went out there to be alone because he thought that's what he needed, and he
Yep.
realized all he wanted was community, and that's kind of what got to him. And it's one of those things like we're made for community, and that wasn't. I don't think that was a Christian movie, but it's like that
Hmm.
drives home one of the most important aspects of our faith.
Yep.
We're made to be together,
Yep.
and worship together and have accountability. It was just like, wow, it's really cool. So I love doing that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I got one last question for you. What is the biggest faith lesson you've learned um, on set in your career, um, working in this industry?
I'm sure there's more than one.
Yeah.
But the one that sticks out as of late um, would just be that my dependency upon God to do my job, basically. Because as I mentioned earlier, it is a very stressful environment, and uh, it can be dark at times,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard to go in there and um, execute at a high level and do your job and not get discouraged because um, I'll liken it to football. Like my job is like, it's one of those things that you don't get recognition for it. You don't get an attaboy or anything because it's like you're just expected to do this, but people
Right.
don't know how hard it really is. Um, and so it's a thankless job, which is really hard. So realizing that my strength doesn't come from me
Mm.
and that my abilities aren't mine, that, we're all just assets. We're
Yeah.
all tools. You know what I mean? Like that is a very comforting thing to know. And honestly, I have to remind myself of that every day
Yeah.
because it's so easy for me just to like, not necessarily turn that off, but I just don't think of that. I immediately go to, well, I'm not good enough when
Mm.
I fail versus no, I am good enough. And I need to focus on, where God has me versus where I put myself
No, that's awesome.
in those situations.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And like, again, it is hard on set sometimes because I will say, a lot of people don't know God, but I feel like if you have that attitude and that mentality, then they can come to know Jesus through that, versus like, because you don't really, I mean, you do have time, but like, it's not just so easy to start sharing,
Right.
the Bible with people and like all the good news. So it's like, if it, through your work and your mentality, if that shows, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the dependency upon him versus myself. And that's, like I said, that's something I have to tell myself and kind of relearn every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you joining us today. We, we're here trying to learn from all sorts of different people in this series. And so I just appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And yeah, good luck, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.